Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Jedi Talk. I am your host, Brad Hughes, and today is another great episode of the show here. And I am joined by no one, actually. I'm actually doing this podcast by myself. Evan's doing whatever he's doing. I haven't really talked to him. I'm assuming he's busy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. Talked to him a little bit here and there, but you know, it's just what it is for whatever reason now. Hope everyone's doing good. Hope you guys had a great May the 4th. We got a lot to talk about today. We got Bad Batch to talk about. We got May the 4th, Galaxy's Edge at May the 4th. What's going on? There's all kinds of lightsaber madness going on throughout the internet. Yeah, it's a lot to get into here. Plus news and all kinds of stuff. Why don't we do news first and then we'll talk about May the 4th. I think that's probably the best idea. Tons of news going on right now. All kinds of stuff. First up in the news category. This has been something that's been floated around a lot, and I keep seeing people are excited about this, and then they're, not excited about this. And my personal opinion is good. When you hear the headline of the news story, I think it's a good idea. Marvel head Kevin Feige has no ambition to take a leadership role at Lucasfilm. Good. Two reasons. I've been pretty vocal about not being the biggest Marvel fan. I like where this new MCU is headed quite a bit. I think it's very interesting. It kind of feels like a reset of the MCU where you're going to have some characters that you're familiar with, some that you're not familiar with, and you're kind of starting over. And I think it's a really good idea from, doing that from where we left off with Endgame. Just kind of hitting the reset button. And I think he's got a lot to build back up. It's kind of a strange spot that Marvel's in right now, where you had this amazing finale to this 22 film saga, and then now, even with, it's so weird because even with WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier, we should have already had Black Widow at this point, if not for COVID. It feels like it's new again. In a good way, but also like a weird way where like no one really cares. It kind of feels like no one really cares. Like Falcon and Winter Soldier came and went, and it didn't really seem like anyone was like that enamored with it. I thought it was the best series that they have done of the two. I liked it much better than WandaVision, and I liked WandaVision I think more than Evan did, but more than a lot of people. I think I really enjoyed WandaVision. It was fun. I don't know. I just feel like people don't care about the MCU right now. Like, there's so much cool Star Wars stuff going on that I think everyone's just kind of okay. I'm not on Twitter anymore, really. So like, I don't see everything, but from the worlds that I see, stuff still gets to me. So like, I find it very odd that no one cares that there's not really. I don't know. Do you guys, if I'm insane, please let me know. Like I just feel like no one really cares about the MCU right now. Not because it's not good. I think actually MCU's some of the best it's ever been with Falcon and Winter Soldier. That show was fantastic. I really dug that show. But yeah, I think this is a good move. We don't need him at Lucasfilm because he is, still transforming the MCU. You got to give the MCU a lot of credit. They really like just are so assuming that fans are just going to stick around for the continued story of what's going on in the universe. And they killed their two biggest characters. Marvel killed Iron Man and Captain America. We got a new Captain America, but it's not the same. You know what I mean? It's just very odd that that's what their MO is. Like, I guess Star Wars kind of did the same thing where like they killed Han Solo, they killed Luke Skywalker off, and it's like, now I'll go on. But like, Luke's death is, he's absent in the first episode 7, and then he's there in 8 as like a mentor slash, wanting to not wanting to redeem Ben's Solo character. Yeah, I think Kevin Feige's good where he's at. I don't want to see Kevin Feige at Lucasfilm ever, but certainly not anytime soon. He's got his hands full with what's going on over with Marvel. But I'm curious what you guys think about this one. This one is something that I think is pretty divisive. Like, a lot of MCU fans would like to see him in the Star Wars universe. I don't even need to see him do a movie. Like, I don't need him directing or producing anything. Like, stay in your Marvel lane. I appreciate that you're a fan of Star Wars, but there's plenty of people doing Star Wars very well right now, and we don't need him doing Star Wars. That's kind of how I feel. I'm drinking a Mexican Sprite. I love Mexican Coke. I think Mexican Coke is like really... Mexican Coke might be like the best tasting thing ever. Mexican Sprite, not as good. I don't think it's as good as regular Sprite. Mexican Coke is far superior to regular Coca-Cola, but I don't know. It's about the sugar in this is odd. It just tastes so different. Like, Mexican Coke just tastes like a better version of Coke. This tastes like in the same way that like Sprite and Diet Sprite taste different. This kind of has a different taste to it, like that does. I'm not a fan. Oh, but I opened it and I bought it and I got to drink it. Ugh, not a fan. Mexican Fanta rocks though. But yeah, move on to the next story here. This is big news for me, and I'm assuming Evan's going to this. I don't really know. Star Wars Celebration Anaheim has moved its dates up from August, whatever the dates were, to May 26th through the 29th, and it's still in Anaheim. Your boy's there. I'm going to be there 100%. I cannot wait for this. I am beyond ready for Star Wars Celebration. If May the 4th and the lightsaber meetups have taught me anything, it's how much I miss the community that Star Wars brings together at Star Wars Celebration. If you're a Star Wars fan, I do think, and this is, I hate when people say this, but if you're like a casual Star Wars fan, I don't think Celebration's for you, and not in a mean way, And I'm gonna say this as someone who's a very casual Marvel fan. I would not feel like I fit in at a Marvel convention as much as I collect comic books, and I just don't know enough about it the way I know Star Wars. So I don't think it's like, but plus, by the way, I feel like I need to preface this because I feel like I'm going to get crap for this. I don't think you shouldn't not go. I just want you to be aware that this is not where casual Star Wars fans go. Change it by going. If you're a casual Star Wars fan and you want to go to Celebration, I encourage everyone who wants to attend Celebration to attend. But I mean, you're going to be waiting in line for hours to see panels about, a soundtrack in a movie, or, there's so many different things they do at Celebration. And if it was me, it's something I was casual with, I wouldn't love the event. But since I'm such a big Star Wars fan, I like to go see the panels and all the news and stuff. But it is a place for hardcore Star Wars fans to be. And it's the thing I love about it. It's like where Star Wars fans go to be hardcore Star Wars fans. It's awesome. All the costumes and the collectibles. What's so funny? Like, I'm so into these figures now, and I didn't get into it at either Star Wars Celebration. Well, I guess that's not true. I bought my R5-D4 figure from the Kenner line in 1978, I think, is when that line came out, at Star Wars Celebration in Chicago. So I guess that's not true. I guess I technically did buy my first vintage action figure at a Star Wars Celebration, but I was not into it like I'm into it now. The collection is still growing. Once we do live streams again, if we ever do live streams again, you guys will be able to see the figure wall has gotten a little out of hand. I've added quite a few in the past few weeks, but I'm so excited for Star Wars Celebration. I'm curious, since it is going to be in California, and it still is a year away, a year and like 2 weeks, a year and a week, something like that. I'm wondering if masks are going to be like required since it is in California. I would assume by then we're fine, because today Biden came out and said that if you're a vaccinated adult, you don't need to wear a mask at all. So that's super interesting. Like, as someone who basically lives at Walt Disney World, it's going to be and it is there every day. It's going to be fascinating to see them try to enforce this going forward. I don't know what they're going to do. It's already getting bad. The other day we were at SeaWorld because Holly is a big Jesse McCartney fan. Don't ask. And I had to go take her to, I say had to, I enjoyed it. I took her to go see Jesse McCartney over at SeaWorld. And even there, like, people are just not wearing masks. Like at Disney World, if you're walking around without wearing a mask, like someone's going to walk up to you, you know, within a minute or two of you taking it off and have you put it on. No one was policing anything. There was zero social distancing going on. Disney's still enforcing it. Like, I have friends that work at Disney and I see them enforcing it when I walk by, and you know, it's I just don't know how long they're going to be able to continue to fight this wear a mask thing. So that's going to be interesting, but I don't know what's going to happen at Celebration. I'm wondering, like, what's going to be. I would imagine they moved this up. There has to be a reason, right? Like, you wouldn't move it up 2 months for no reason. There has to be something here where it's going to be, you know, we're not getting Mandalorian this year. So it's probably going to center around season 3 of The Mandalorian, I would guess. May's early enough. I don't know when Obi Wan's coming out. I had heard rumors of like January, February, but I don't know if that's true. Maybe they're going to announce the Rian Johnson trilogy after he finishes. I don't know. I don't even know if this Rian Johnson trilogy is still happening, by the way. Not because I don't want it to. I would love more than anything for him to get more Star Wars films. But he got that huge Knives Out deal. They make like a Knives Out universe, which is odd. The movie was great, but like, do I need 40 more Knives Out movies? That's kind of feel about Avatar. It's like the first one was fine. Like, do I need to see 30 more Avatar movies? I'm enjoying this cigar. The company Brickhouse makes a fine cigar, by the way. Shout out to those guys. If you hear like lulls in my talking and it's silent for a second, that's what it is. It's that or I'm taking a drink of something. Usually Evan's talking to, you know, cover up the sound of me indulging, but alas, he's not here, so. It's a really, really good cigar. It's one of my favorites. I'm super excited. Book of Boba Fett might be an option. You know, some new streaming services. Some of the stuff that they announced at D23, whenever that event was that D23? Whatever the event was, they announced like the 40 different shows that are coming out. You might see some of that stuff. Maybe a new movie. Well, Andor. I don't know. It's just to me, there's like a reason that they moved it up because that's a big jump from May to August. But I will be there for sure. I'm actually, even though we get media passes because of the podcast, I'm actually considering possibly, depending on price, getting one of those Jedi Master passes because I just don't want to wait in lines for anything. I'm just the time of my life of sleeping on concrete floor and, you know, in an air bed next to strangers while they also sleep on the air bed with me. Those days are over. I'm not doing it anymore. I will pay whatever the money is to just be able to roll out of bed 10 minutes before, walk across the street of the convention center, walk into the panel, and then go back. Like that's where I'm at for this Star Wars Celebration. I will encourage Evan to have the full experience. You know, don't spend the money. But I think it's something that you should experience once or twice. I did it twice, and then just kind of not deal with that because you spend so much of your time in those lines. Like when I look back at the day we spent at Star Wars Celebration, where we literally just waited in line, me and Alex, to get into the frickin' store, and then we found out later that since we were media, we were able to just walk in the store. So I spent 9 hours in line to buy a T-shirt. And then found out that I didn't have to wait 9 hours was so upsetting. So I'm just gonna go and just buy the Jedi Master Pass, whatever it's called. I think it's called Jedi Master Pass. And just do it that way because I just don't want to have to do that again. But I'm super excited for Celebration. I cannot wait to be around all you other Star Wars fans and meet up with friends from old Star Wars Celebrations and make new friends from Star Wars Celebration. It's just, It's just the best. I was actually thinking about maybe getting a booth for the podcast. I'll have to talk to Evan about that and kind of see where we're at and see if it makes financial sense for us to do that, because I think that'd be kind of fun to do like live streams and stuff from a booth on the floor at Celebration. I think that'd be a really, really fun time. But we'll see about all that. All those details, if we decided that, will come later. That might not happen, but I feel like that'd be a really good time. But can't wait. Celebration cannot come soon enough. Moving on to the next story here. Ewan McGregor teases an Obi Wan Kenobi details in new Jimmy Kimmel interview. That's one of the more clickbait titles that Star Wars Newsnet has done in a while. There was not really much said. I watched the entire 11-minute interview on YouTube. He does talk about like it's kind of a new cost. I guess. Okay. You know what? I guess I take it back. There were some new details. He talks about how he's going to have a different costume than what we've seen. I'm kind of like expecting it to be like half what we see, a third of like what we see in A New Hope, a third what we see in the Clone Wars, and then like a third of what we see from him in Revenge of the Sith. And I think somewhere in there you're going to have a really cool, unique costume. Of course, they're going to make it something new so they can sell merchandise, because that's what giant evil corporations do, kids, is they just buy more action figures for you to buy. And of course, I'll buy one because I'm an idiot and a sucker. You know, at least I know I'm a sucker, right? I'm not fooled or think I'm something else. I know I'm bought. Lucasfilm has me. Disney has me. Like they know. What else was there? He said that there was a special scene. Like they were talking about May the 4th. And that on May the 4th, they filmed like a very special scene between him and someone. And I believe I'm remembering right, he said that we haven't seen him on camera with yet. I don't know. Who knows? I actually wouldn't put it past them to have him bring Satine back and then Darth Vader be the one that kills Satine. I think that would be something that they actually might do. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. Yeah, there is not much more I'm excited for when it comes to this. Like, I was really excited about Episode 7, like everyone else was. I'm like this level excited for this show. I'm getting really, really excited. I know I'm going to have the Andor show between now and then. I think that'll be good, but I'm not like super jazzed about it. And not because I don't think it's going to be good. It's just that time frame I just don't care as much about. This is kind of a new explored story beat. It's not necessarily like going back in time to this time frame. It's not like something truly unique, but it's a new story that takes place in this time frame that I'm very curious to see how this pans out. So, very, very interesting. He was on set. He looked like Obi Wan. It was awesome. It was a cool interview. Go check it out over on YouTube. Just type in like Jimmy Kimmel and McGregor interview, and it'll pop up. And it's it's the most recent one from like 3 days ago. Moving on to the next story here. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order sequel reportedly targeting 2023 release. Fallen Order, man. I think that might be something that, you'll see at Celebration as well. If this is a real thing, 2023 puts it a year out. That makes sense. That's about right. How long it would be between, teaser to release. I would be interested in a sequel. I don't know. Only problem with sequels in that time frame there is you'd have to kind of tell a smaller story, I guess. Because, spoiler alert, we already got Vader. We've already got, Order 66. I mean, what else could this character really do? I'm sure there's some cool story there. I just feel like if they're going to do another Star Wars Fallen Order game, they kind of need to tweak some of the game physics. I think they need to go with more like force ability than lightsaber, because they didn't really seem to understand, a lightsaber can cut through anything, but, I can't cut through these vines. So, or just incorporate more of that into the gameplay. I don't know. The gameplay bothered me a little bit in that game. I loved the story. I love the character of Cal Kestis. I think Cal's awesome. I love the character a lot. I love the design. I love the look of the whole game. I love I love like 80% of it, but that other 20% is pretty strong in the other direction. It's a fun game, but I think this would be a good call. I mean, that's such a big hit. Like everyone loves Fallen Order, so I think it would be smart for them to make another game. Obviously, if they want money, I would like a Squadron sequel too. By the way, that game was really really fun and really underrated. People were really excited about it, and then like when it came out, like no one really talks about it. I guess the story wasn't what people were thinking, but like they kind of came out and told us that it was just going to be like a, it's smaller story. Like it's just going to be story related to the game. There's not going to be any like story that you see coming out of it. As far as like new additions to canon, other than like a space battle. So I don't know. I don't know what people thought, but yeah. I'll take Fallen Order 2. Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order. Jedi Fallen Order 2 still fallen. I mean, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. That sounds absolutely fantastic. I'd be all in. I want to go back and actually like, since I know the game and the story already, I'd like to go back and just watch all the cinematics for that, because I feel like it's a solid story. Moving on to the next story here. There's a new comic book series out called Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters Alpha. I think that's what the name of it is. Issue 1 came out. I got it. It was a interesting, to say the least, issue of a comic. It was very comic booky in the sense it didn't really, like that story would. You know what? Take that back. I could see that actually playing out in The Mandalorian. Boba Fett essentially is moving. I'll give a rundown, a kind of spoiler. By the way, I'm gonna talk about this for a little bit because I actually thought it was a cool little story. So, Boba Fett is leaving Cloud City with Han Solo, and then realizes that something's wrong with the carbonite, and that he's gonna like melt into goop unless he gets help. So he goes to this planet. I forget the name of the planet. I should have written it down. And has a guy who's like a technician kind of go like look at it and like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, I need money to help you fix this. And he's like, I don't have any money right now. I owe money to Jabba. Come on, I'm good for it. And he's like, no thanks, have a good one. And he's like, okay, well, what if is there anything else I can do? And he's like, yes, go kill this person. She's a pain in the ass to me. Okay. He goes and has to enter this like competition. By the way, I know it's a spoiler, but I urge everyone to go read the comic book. It's interesting. He enters this competition, and it almost reminded me of like Thor Ragnarok, where it's like different competitions and like you have to beat up a different. It's like Thor Ragnarok meets Kingdom Hearts, where you have to like go to Phil's Coliseum and beat up the different waves of people to make your way up to the top to fight Sephiroth, and then he fights the main person, but like he has his armor on, but he paints it and calls himself Jango, so it looks like Jango Fett. So it was a cool story. I'm curious to see where this goes from here. I think this is the series that ties in with the Book of Boba Fett, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm like 85% sure I'm right on that. But it was a cool comic book. I got all the variants to it, the covers, so that was exciting. Another comic book that came out was the new Darth Vader number. Oh crap, was it 11 or 13? I can't remember. Whatever the newest Darth Vader comic is, where he goes to Exegol, was awesome. I love, because we don't see it in the original trilogy at all. Seeing Vader and Palpatine at odds with each other is very, very interesting. I love that whole dynamic of like, hey, you're the one that ruined everything for me, and you're the reason why I am this way, and you're kind of taking advantage of me, being at your mercy in a way, which is absolutely just a great dynamic for Vader and Palps. This implies, I guess, that Vader knows of Exegol. Now, I'm missing like 2 or 3 issues before this. I haven't been up on my Vader comics, but I'm going to get back into it now because I'm very curious. And Ochi was a part of this, the person who killed Palpatine's son, and the reason the people who like he was looking for Rey from Rise of Skywalker. If you've seen, of course, you've seen Rise of Skywalker. If you listen to this, you remember that. So there's a lot going on with this comic, and it's tying in a lot to stuff that I care about. So I'm curious to see how this thing pans out. But it's good, man. That was a solid issue. It would, if we were doing Jedi Talk, Jedi Night Live, this would be my read of the week because I think it's really, really, really good, actually. If you're listening to this in your car and you just keep hearing silence, I'm very sorry, but I don't want to edit it, every time I smoke off this cigar. So I apologize. It won't be like this again. Next week, if I don't get to have this time with Evan, then I'll have a fill-in person for him. But at this point, I just had to. There was so much, to talk about that I feel like I just had to talk about it with or without him, and with or without a guest. So that's where we're at. And I think this is the last news topic here. Disney Parks finally revealed the retractable lightsaber. They're getting a lot of, I don't want to say hate for this, but they're getting a lot of people being like, the lightsaber hilt's too big. Okay, guys. Think about what they're doing. It's an innovative thing. It's going to get refined. It's how all technology starts, right? If you look at computers from the 80s to the iPhone, it's going to get refined, okay? It's just going to. Remember, there's a retractable blade in there. I think this looks fantastic. It doesn't quite look as good as I wanted it to look. I don't know. There's you can kind of see the little notch of the blade before they ignite it in the video, and that might be what I'm seeing. That that kind of puts it off for me a little bit. But we guessed it right. This was going to be part of the Starliner, whatever it's called, the Halcyon Star Cruiser, whatever it's called. The Star Wars hotel that they're doing here. We were completely right about that. We nailed that. They said you're going to be the first to see it there. I don't know if it's going to have anything to do with the guest experiencing it itself, but I am fairly convinced that they're going to take the idea of the fights above the streets of Jakku that they talked about at Star Wars Celebration in Orlando in 2017 or whatever that was. They talked about it a lot for Galaxy's Edge. These full-blown fights on top of the buildings of Batuu. I think they're going to do that on the Halcyon in some way. I don't know, but I would imagine that that's going to be something that they focus on, because that seems like such a cool idea, and then to just get rid of it completely seems odd. But yeah, that's it looks really cool. Like I said, I think Rey's going to have that on the ship, maybe. I don't know. I don't think you're going to get a retractable lightsaber. I think you might have an option to buy one and smuggle it out at a exit gift shop on your way out of the duty-free ship or whatever. I don't know. I don't think you're going to see this be available for purchase anywhere other than the Halcyon for about 3 months. And then they're going to realize, oh no, there's so much money we're leaving on the table. Put it at Doc Ondar's. If it's one thing I know, it's that Doc Ondar's like selling lightsabers, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But that was a cool little release for May the 4th. And speaking of May the 4th, I was at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge for May the 4th. I got to participate in all the activities. There's plenty of videos we did on YouTube. You can check out the May the 4th merchandise that we released. What am I talking about? That Disney released. I didn't go crazy. I really wanted a May the 4th shirt, and then I picked it up at the store, and I am so picky with t-shirts. If I can feel the print underneath it, I won't purchase it. It could be the coolest shirt in the world. It's everything I want. A one of a kind, whatever design that you think about your ideal t-shirt. It could be for me like a vintage Led Zeppelin concert tour tee, and if I can feel the imagery on the inside of it, I can't wear it. It's a tactile thing. I hate it. I can't do it. I have shirts that I've bought because I was just like, I just got to have it. And I just can't do it. One of them is I bought a Disney Quest shirt when Disney Quest went away, and I have not worn the shirt more than one time to put it on because I could feel all the stuff on the inside, and it was horrendous. But I'm glad I have it because Disney Quest is not coming back. So, but yeah, I can't wear it. So I'm very picky when it comes to t-shirts, and I couldn't do it. But I did get the Bad Batch Magic Band and the May the 4th Magic Band. The May the 4th logo this year was phenomenal. I mean, I loved the one from 2019. It was really, really good too. The red and the white with the Stormtrooper, but this one was like a navy and like an orange. I'm not typically a navy, or maybe a red. I'm not like typically a navy or kind of orangey person because I'm an Alabama fan and I hate Auburn. But I love the look of it. It's got like half of a Rebel pilot's helmet, half of a Imperial TIE fighter helmet, and then like on each side there's like of the helmet there's like ships that come out, and it just looks really, really cool. The Magic Band's a beautiful design. And of course we got to talk about this. The thing we teased on the last episode of the podcast, what they were releasing, what it was for May the 4th, turned out to not be Rey's yellow lightsaber like we thought. That came a few days later. We'll get to that as well. But the 2-pack of Leia, which we had talked about and had heard that's what it was, and Luke's lightsaber, but it's the Rey's Reforged. So it was in this incredible box. Honestly, like I was actually kind of hoping to talk about this while Evan was here because this was such a cool moment for me that I'd like to hear what he thinks about it because I don't think he's seen one in person yet. It's really cool. So I already had the Rey's Reforged saber, and what I did was I just bought another Rey's Reforged saber. That was Leia's. I sold my old Rey's Reforged saber that I had, just the hilt itself. So now I have the Rey's Reforged saber that came with this set, and then I have the actual box from Rey's Reforged saber, and I did the same thing with Leia's. So I bought another Leia's saber, sold the hilt itself, and then kept the box from Doc Ondar. So I have that box from Doc Ondar's as well this box here. That's what we're going to talk about now. We'll get to Rey's yellow lightsaber in just a moment. Sorry, I'm moving stuff around here. I bought this not really knowing what it was, other than it had Rey's Reforged saber in it and Leia's saber from Rise of Skywalker. And so I was doing a video on it, and it's so funny. If you watch the YouTube video that I made on this, youtube.com/TheBradVentures, you'll kind of see me do. I try to do it in like one shot typically, but this one I didn't because I was trying to make it more cinematic because it was a big deal. But I opened the box and I didn't know what to I didn't think anything of it. So I'm opening the box, and as I'm opening it, this happens. The Force theme starts playing in the box. And it was a weird thing because as a Star Wars fan, like when you do certain things, like that music just pops in your head. Like it's hard to explain, but like I've opened, I remember the first time I opened my very first lightsaber, which was, they call it Rey's, but it's, Luke and Anakin's lightsaber, the blue one, the original one from A New Hope that Obi Wan gives to Luke Skywalker. And I remember opening that, and that was like playing in my head, like subconsciously. And I thought my phone alarm was going off because that's the same music that I use for when it's time to try to get a Rise boarding group at 1:00 in the afternoon. So I thought that's what it was. And then I realized it was coming from the box. And I teared up, man. Like it was honestly like one of my top, like when we do a top 10 moments in Star Wars as a Star Wars fan, that's going to be on my list. It was just such a cool moment to have this music swell as you're looking at these two amazing lightsabers. And it's so cool because the box comes packaged with Luke and Leia and Rey's reforged saber, and inside the box is like a certificate. They numbered. There's 3,000 of these. My number is 826 of 3,000, and it comes with some quotes in here. It's hard to see because I'm in the garage and it's dark. It says, "Your father's lightsaber. This is the weapon of a Jedi. Not as clumsy or random as a blaster. An elite weapon for a more civilized age." And then Obi Wan Kenobi. Leia told me that she had since the death of... It's so hard. I'm like reading it from 10 feet away in the dark, so forgive me. Death of her son at the end of her Jedi path. She surrendered her saber to me and said that one day it would be picked up again by someone who would finish her journey. That's Luke talking to Rey in The Rise of Skywalker. But the coolest thing about this is it comes wrapped. The lightsabers come wrapped up and not displayed like they are in the other legacy sabers. They're wrapped up in an orange cloth and tied with a piece of brown leather, which is what happens in The Rise of Skywalker when she puts them both into... These are the ones that she puts in the sand of Tatooine. So it's canonically accurate to the movie, with the exception of it being sold at Doc Ondar's because this is before she does that, in this timeline. But honestly, guys, it was such an amazing moment. I literally teared up. It just caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting it. It was expensive. But, I thought for 2 lightsaber hilts, and the box and the lightsabers in them weigh 12 pounds. It's heavy. So I just thought it was like, just kind of cool, but it's one of the coolest things they have ever done. Leia's saber is not as bad as it looked like in the photo that was released, but it still doesn't look perfect. I've seen people say, I don't think it's as bad as people remember it. Like, I remember it looking a lot different in The Rise of Skywalker too, but you have to remember, I've seen people post things on Facebook about it. It's not as bad as you remember it because they use color correction, when they're doing post-production in films. So it looks a little different than it actually would look in real life. And then, when we see it, it's nighttime for the most part. So, they're saying that it's better, it's worse than they thought. I think it's good. My only complaint is the same thing with the Luke Skywalker green lightsaber, is you have to screw off a piece and put on another piece for the blade to fit. Again, they weren't thinking of that when they were designing the look of the lightsaber for the film. So I give them a little bit of slack with that, because it is not what they were planning on doing. Was like, how can we make this, into a theme park toy? Like, that's not what they were thinking. They were trying to make something that looks aesthetically pleasing on film, and it does. And it's one of Leia's lightsaber is one of the most beautiful lightsabers, I think. The coloring is a little off, but it's awesome, and I'm so happy I have it. Then 2 or 3 days later, I'm sitting at home, and we were like, let's take the day off. Let's just kind of chill. So we did, and we're sitting at home, and Holly goes, "Brad, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." I was like, what? She goes, "You're going to freak out." And I was like, what? She showed me a picture of Rey's yellow lightsaber from The Rise of Skywalker in the same scene as this, had made its way to Galaxy's Edge. Now, this one, like, almost broke the internet. Like, this is such a big deal. I didn't think they would do this anytime soon. Oh, also, Holly's theory on the Luke and Leia set, the Rey and Leia, whatever lightsaber it's called, the Rey and Leia set, is that this was, she thinks, was intended to be something for Women's Day, and then due to the Suez Canal thing, it didn't make its way until May the 4th, and she thinks that the May the 4th surprise was going to be that Rey's yellow lightsaber was here. A solid plan, solid theory, I don't know. But it came out. And it was only $139 for this hilt. Now, I have heard that if you look at the SKU barcode on the bottom of the box, that it's actually just a recycled barcode because they didn't have it in the system quite yet to be sold as Rey Skywalker saber, and it's actually going to run you $149 once they get the right barcode on there. But this one is very controversial to people. But I will say I think this is one of the best legacy hilts that they have done. No, it does not turn on in the cool way you see in The Rise of Skywalker. That is very disappointing. That piece doesn't even move. But as far as the detailing on this thing goes, I mean, it has actual cloth and where the cloth is supposed to be. The little, claw-looking pieces at the top of the emitter of the hilt come up. They're not motorized or anything like that, but it's what it is. And but they made the weathering on this look really cool. I know Evan's a stickler. Like, Evan was saying that he didn't want to get it. He ended up getting it. Of course he did. But he says it was his girlfriend, but we both know it was you. That it was not screen accurate, but I want to push back a little bit on that because none of them, well, I shouldn't say none of them, a lot of them are not screen accurate. And also, what does that even mean? Because in The Force Awakens, Finn turns it on, the lightsaber, a different way than anyone's ever turned the lightsaber on in Star Wars. So, that's a thing. Obi Wan's turns on a different way than it does in the film. Darth Maul's turn on a different way than it does in the film. So it's, to think that like these are like the epitome of accuracy is a little silly, but it does come with a little switch. And I think the reason they did it this way was because if they made this mechanism turn and like something broke in the mechanism, then you just have like a lightsaber hilt that you can't turn on and off. A simple on-off switch makes more sense. Because you're not breaking like a crazy expensive mechanism in an expensive lightsaber than just having a dead lightsaber that you can't use. I'm going to grab a blade real quick because I want you all to hear the sounds of this. It sounds perfect. Like, it sounds exactly like it sounded in The Rise of Skywalker. And there's also a really cool effect that I'll show you here as well. And I know it's audio, so bear with me. Just give me 2 seconds. I got to go grab this blade. So here we go. Here's the sounds. Now, that's the ignition sound. And I do think that, like, the yellow looks better when you replace the batteries with it, even if you buy it brand new. I would give you the advice of change the batteries because the batteries they come with are really cheap batteries. That's cool. That speaker is so small in this one. That's just me covering it up with my hand. That's wild. But look, there is this cool effect that happens every so often with this one. So listen. This is like if I'm hitting a lightsaber blaster bolt back, or a blaster bolt back with my lightsaber. This is the sound. That. It lights up like Sith lightning or something. It's really, really cool. But the sound of this just sounds really good. I think this is one of their top hilts they've ever made. The weight of it. I'm actually going to do a YouTube video. I'm not going to say this because somebody might take it before I get a chance to do it. But this is one of the heavier lightsaber hilts that they've made. It's bigger than I thought the hilt would be. Well, another thing this makes me want is I want a Black Series or a actual version of Rey's staff. I think that would be really, really, really cool to sell on Batu or sell wherever they want, because this is made out of a piece of her staff, and I want it. It's a really, really cool saber, and I'm very thankful to have it. It sold out really quickly. So, one of the perks of living in Orlando is I can see something and be within the parks within 10 minutes. Really, really cool. So my May the 4th was fantastic, and the few days after that were great as well. I think that's all I got to talk about, other than I have a few listener questions here that we'll get to. I was going to talk about one more thing, but it's actually a listener question, so I'll just talk about it as a listener question. Let's see. Let me pull it up here. This is from listener Brianna. I think it's Ione. What role do you think Leia would have had in The Rise of Skywalker if Carrie Fisher were still alive and the writers had the ability to do more with her character? I don't know. I mean, they definitely were going to do something big because they had kind of set it up that way from The Last Jedi. I think they would have made more of them. I think I can only speak for what I would do, but if it's me, I would have them communicate through the Force more, because you got to see a little bit of it in The Last Jedi, where they have that little meaningful thing where he's in the TIE silencer and he's deciding whether he's going to shoot the bridge or not, and then he doesn't, and then she's out of commission until the end of the movie, so they don't have any time to talk like that again. So that's what I would have done. I would have, continued that, have her talk to him, versus just, those moments we get in The Last Jedi. I think that would have been very powerful. It's such a shame that no doubt, but it's such a shame that she passed away before they could do what they wanted or intended with that, because you could tell they were gonna you can even just with the Rise of Skywalker, you can tell that she was gonna be a big part of it. She says also, maybe it's a dumb question, but what exactly happened to Luke? He wasn't actually in the battle with Kylo, so why did he, quote, die? This is open to interpretation as far as I know. I haven't seen anything official other than, other fans just kind of repeating and regurgitating the same thing. And I'm going to do the same thing here. It's mentioned earlier in the movie that when Kylo interacts with Rey, he says, "How are you doing this?" And she's like, I don't think she says I'm not, but he asks her how they're able to see each other. And he goes, "You couldn't do this. The effort would kill you." Then you find out that Luke has cut himself off from the Force. And we don't know how long it's been that way. But then once he opens himself back up to it, that's when he's able to communicate with Yoda. And that's how he's able to, feel the Force again. And ultimately, his act of coming back as a Force ghost on Crate is what kills him, because the effort was too much for him to take and open himself up to the Force killed him. I kind of think of it like weightlifting. If it's such a stupid analogy because I'm a moron, but if you think about going to the gym, let's say you used to be, an elite athlete and you could bench 500 pounds. Well, if you don't go to the gym for 30 years and then you go to the gym and you put 500 pounds of weight on a bar, you're not going to be able to lift that 500 pounds because you haven't been keeping it up. So that's kind of how I envisioned that with Luke, was that it just was it was one of the things that just overpowered him, and he couldn't take it, So that's how I see it. I don't know if that's been confirmed anywhere. If it has, awesome, but that's just kind of, how I see that in the movie. Moving on to the next thing, Jamie Whitley, which I have a podcast that I recorded with her that is going to be coming out soon. I just have to edit it, and I haven't had time to edit it. I have had time to, record other podcasts and upload them because I didn't have to edit it. But this one was 5 hours long, so I have to edit it down to where it's, some of the stuff I take out for both of our own sake. But Jamie, if you're listening to this, the podcast is coming. I just have to sit down. I'm going to try to do it this weekend. Sit down and edit this. But it simply just says Bad Batch. Let's talk Bad Batch. This is something I was going to talk about in the news, but since it was a listener question as well, I figured I'll just talk about it here. I watched the first 2 episodes of the Bad Batch. I didn't watch them May the 4th. I watched them a week later. By the time I had watched the first episode, the second episode had already come out. We were right. We saw Order 66 just from a different perspective. Say what you want about me and Evan, but me and him are right a lot about this stuff. We haven't seen a lot of the characters that we were either told were going to happen with Aura Singh or, it's 2 episodes in, but I don't know how I feel about it. It's very clearly an extension of the Clone Wars. I mean, for God's sakes, when the show comes, we're going to be spoiler talk about this, by the way. When the show comes on, the Clone Wars logo comes on, and then disintegrates into the Bad Batch. Now, I don't know if that's just letting you know where the show takes place, or if they were halfway through production, why don't we just call this the Bad Batch? And, we won't call it Clone Wars Season 9 or 8, whatever season they were on. But I liked it okay. The beginning with Kanan was really cool. It was cool to see Order 66 happen to him. Because I feel like he talked about it in Rebels. I can't remember if it was Rebels or if it was... I watched Rebels so long ago. I watched it when it came out. That's the last time I've watched it. I need to rewatch it. I don't remember if he talked about it or if it was mentioned in a comic book or something. But I feel like he's mentioned Order 66, but you definitely get why he doesn't like trust, certain things in Rebels. But I dug it. I'm gonna keep up with it. It's just this era of Star Wars is just not for me. It's a little kiddie. There's a scene in the second episode where they end up on another planet. I don't want to ruin this one because this has not been out as long. But there's a scene with these kids, and it just did not feel like Star Wars at all. It felt like I was watching like a child's show. And when I say child, I don't mean like, SpongeBob. I mean like it felt like I was watching like Blue's Clues or something. Like it was just so juvenile. And like the music was bad, which is Kevin Kiner does great music. But the music was bad. It just didn't work for me. Whatever that was just did not work. But they wrapped up that story really quickly too with Omega, I think is the kid's name. I thought that was going to be something that would continue on for the entire series. And then they wrap it up in 2 episodes. And I was like, well, I guess that's over. The first episode was a little long with being like, a full length feature film, but it was good. I don't know if we're going to do like episode breakdowns of this. I honestly, to me, I don't have any desire to do that. If Evan wants to do it, we can do it. But like, I just don't care that much, to be perfectly honest with you guys. It was fine. Like I'd give it like a C. It was middle of the road. It was just fine. I've heard Dave Filoni say that this is a master class in Star Wars. And to be honest, Guy, I'm not that impressed with it so far. So maybe tone down the hyperbole a little bit because it's most definitely not a master class in Star Wars. Now, The Mandalorian Season 2 is a master class in Star Wars. But I wouldn't say Bad Batch is that. I mean, to be fair, we've seen 2 episodes of the show. I believe there's 15 more episodes that are coming out. So who knows? I could change my mind. I hope I do. I don't ever want to not like something in Star Wars. So I hope I'm wrong. But that's it. I mean, I'll have Evan's thoughts on the next episode when we're here. But yeah, that's it, I guess, for this episode. I did almost an hour by myself. It's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. I like doing podcasts by myself from time to time. It's kind of refreshing. It just kind of gets to sit here and just stream of consciousness kind of talking to you guys. And hope you enjoyed it. Hope you had a great May the 4th. If you're listening to this on YouTube, comment down below and let me know what you did on May the 4th. I'm curious. I'm curious to know what you did for May the 4th. If you went to Galaxy's Edge, if you watched your favorite Star Wars movie or you watched Mandalorian, let me know what you did. I'm very curious to see how people spent May the 4th. That is it for me. You guys can follow me on Instagram at TheBradVentures. And that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. We will see you guys on the next show. Stay safe. Until then, may the Force be with you.